Good evening, everybody. I'm Fictional Crystals, and this episode was so pure. Even though it wasn't at all what I expected, I loved Gem Harvest so much. I've seen a lot of people call this episode filler, but filler isn't a thing on Steven Universe. The show isn't all about Steven's gem side, he's human too.
I love the gems, but I'm a human too!
I think the main problem with the episode is its title. We didn't learn about actual gem harvesting, and they hardly did any crop harvesting in the episode too. Because of its title, we thought this episode was going to be about HomeWorld or the pumpkin dog. Yet neither of those things were as important as we hoped. I think our hopes were just way too high from the last half an hour special. While Bismuth broke people apart, Gem Harvest brought people together. It felt like a Thanksgiving special. I loved how the gems were all together, they felt like a family.
Gems don't have family. At least, not before we came here.
People keep saying that Lapis isn't a crystal gem and will never become a crystal gem because she hates the crystal gems and will always hate them. But it really didn't seem like she hated them at all in this episode. She was talking to them and actually liked helping them. And they enjoyed her company. Lapis has been having a lot of off-screen character development. Watch her between Barnmates and now and you'll see what I mean. As sweet as it was, this episode was very much about moving on. I already talked about how Lapis has moved on, but Pearl was way more open to Greg too.
Our Greg is clearly the superior one.
And Andy also learned to let go of the past so he could be thankful for the present. Speaking of Andy, I told you he was one of Greg's relatives. Congratulations to everyone else that guessed it too. He was also kind of racist and sexist, but by the end of the episode he improved. To be fair though, he was acting realistic. If some random strangers invaded your property, started demolishing your house and stealing your stuff, how would you feel? Not enough people realize how big of a deal it is that Steven has other relatives. Turns out Greg's last name used to be DeMayo. So now Steven Universe is called Steven DeMayo. Inspired by another member of the Crewniverse. In this episode, we found out Greg and Rose weren't technically married.
What do you mean you weren't technically married?
Look, Andy!
My favorite part of the episode had to be when Pearl said everyone was getting married. All the ships between Garnet, Amethyst, Pearl, Peridot, and Lapis are canon now, you can stop fighting.
We heard you like marriage, so we thought, why don't we all marry each other?
Ta-da!
Their ship name is lapamipearl.net. Yes, it's www.lapamipearl.net. Make it happen and the ship wars is over, but probably not since the fandom seems to like fighting. I couldn't stop laughing when Andy thought Garnet was Greg's wife. He knows that Greg has a thing for tall girls, but not Garnet. No, not Garnet. It was interesting seeing the gems' reactions to Andy mentioning Steven's mother. You could see it was something that Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl didn't want to talk about. Compare it to Peridot and Lapis, who have never talked to Rose. Even though Peridot and Lapis have never talked to Rose, Greg still considered them Rose's friends. He knows if Rose were to meet them now, she would be happy and proud of them. They've come so far. I really enjoyed the bit where they parodied themselves. Near the end of the episode, Andy was very caring towards Steven despite them having only just met. Steven was so shocked that Andy was yelling at him for putting himself in danger. Steven and the gems are used to putting themselves in harm's way, so he usually doesn't get yelled at when he puts himself in a dangerous situation. Some people have speculated that Andy and Marty are related due to their similar looks and personalities. Also explaining how Marty became Greg's manager. Andy mentioned jewels, which is making me wonder if there are non-sentient gems on their Earth or if they just mean shattered gems that they use for jewelry. Even though this episode wasn't what we expected, it was still seriously good with some great humor. And we don't want Steven Universe to get too predictable. I still think at some point we'll learn what actual gem harvesting is, along with seeing more of the pumpkin puppy. It kind of got pushed to the side during the episode and has a fear of knives now. I've said this before, the start of the episode was definitely foreshadowing something. Otherwise, it was pretty pointless comic relief. It seems like Andy's going to be hanging around the barn for a bit since himself, Peridot, and Lapis are getting lonely. So the next few episodes will probably take place there. One last thing I noticed is how the ending music changed again. You got some crazy corruption stuff going on there. I'm sure you've all heard the new ending themes from Season 4. No more Love Like You, unfortunately, but this one's good in its own eerie way too. Every few episodes, a new part adds onto it, making it even spookier. Many people, including myself, think this is foreshadowing. During the message, they foreshadowed the HomeWorld gem's arrival by making the ending theme static. The current Season 4 ending theme sounds like corruption music, so I don't think it's long before either a corrupted gem gets healed, we hear the corruption song, or a diamond will appear. I probably won't make a full video on this until maybe there's another new ending theme because everyone seems to already have talked about it. Anyway, thanks for watching and the video's over, isn't it?